Dear Sally Lou, this is it. They'll be shipping us out soon.
March 2nd is Read Across America Day, marked on the birthday of Theodore Zeiss Geisel. Since the organization responsible for Dr. Seuss's IP has recently pulled a number of his books from regular publication, this is really the first year where scrutiny of his messaging is front and center over trying to access some of his major work. So in 3 installments up through March 2nd, I'm going to touch on a part of Ted's life that hasn't really been explored as much as it ought to be. I'm sure many of you know the low-hanging fruit of his wartime comics and little production trivia of his books and TV specials. In my pop history fashion, however, I'd like to put his contributions into greater context, analyzing a few particular endeavors and how they marked changes in his career and in the understanding of literature. Today, let's go back to his early years, a time of professional bonding, of complicated patriotism, and of education. Photography was still a fresh medium, and motion pictures were even newer by the time the First World War broke out. Film had been sent to battlefield since the 1890s, but the 1910s brought with it the concept of newsreels, which for the first time documented far-off events in motion and mass-duplicated for the world to see. This came to a head with Britain's official documentary of the Battle of the Somme. Other war films, most of which have not survived, played with the effectiveness of morale boosting and promoting war bonds. It was a very experimental time, and it would be followed soon after by the boom and bust interwar evolution. Sound, color, and the studio system developed and matured by the time a new war emerged. Before it came to America, though, there was a fierce debate over whether the US should go to war in the first place. Most vocally, Charles Lindbergh, known for the first solo transatlantic flight, became the spokesman for the America First Committee, a loose but prominent organization that was accused of harboring Nazi sympathies. On the ground, since Hitler was openly targeting Jewish people, the pro-war side had every reason to doubt them. Ted Geisel, who had already published a small amount of children's books by then, was on the pro-war side, and his comic illustrations poked back at the America First Committee. Those comics eventually led to more of them targeting the enemy. Once America was officially at war, Ted felt that he had enough pressure as a pro-war activist that he should put his money where his mouth is. He moved into illustrating for the federal government before he took up a commission with the military.
Right now, the greatest mass mobilization in the history of the world is taking place. It's all over America. They're mobilizing, joining up, or having their numbers pulled out of a fishbowl.
Response to the attack on Pearl Harbor was swift, but not swift enough for the military. That said, Hollywood was immediately put to work on a few core priorities. Warner Brothers took on recruitment for the newly reorganized and yet undeployed Army Air Forces with the film Winning Your Wings, starring recent enlistee Jimmy Stewart. In fact, here he is talking about education.
Fellas like yourself, either in high school or college, can enroll in the Air Force Reserve. Continue with your studies, and at the end of the term, or when you get your diploma, you'll be taken in as a regular cadet, if you pledge now.
Well, thanks.
Okay, don't mention it.
That film led to the creation of the first motion picture unit, which found space in the studios of producer Hal Roach.
Today, the Army Air Forces faces a tremendous task, the task of training men by the millions, to instruct the maximum number of men in the minimum amount of time, and to inspire as well as to instruct them.
Warner Brothers was allowed to keep releasing commercial films. Their animation division, along with the strike-depleted Walt Disney Productions, split their attention between the two, taking up whatever work they could get. But Hollywood being just as much a gig town meant that a lot of animation staff who were either drafted or left underemployed found a chance at a couple Army-run operations. There was an in-house department at the FMPU, and there was also a Signal Corps operation from 20th Century Fox led by Frank Capra. That's where Ted ended up, where allegedly Capra found that he did not know anything about movie making, and said, "We'll have to teach you how to become a producer."
Not many months ago, these serious soldier artists were the merry men whose pens put life and laughter into Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Barney Bear.
His first main assignment was Private Snafu, a collaboration with the team behind Looney Tunes, Leon Schlesinger Productions.
Snafu. Situation normal. All fouled up.
Ted wrote for Private Snafu, along with storyboard artist P.D. Eastman and children's author Monroe Leaf. And one of the major directors from the studio was Chuck Jones, who shared Ted's sense of humor, if not the right way to make a bow tie. The content was sent through edits for accuracy, and much security was put in place for the contractors. This despite how simple the lessons were for soldiers.
Like I always said, every man his own center. The moral snafu is the harder you work, the sooner we're gonna beat Hitler, that jerk.
By recruiting the same exact people who were creating some of the most popular entertainment in America, these World War II operations got to demonstrate the power of propaganda. These days, that power is harnessed by deals with Marvel and Hasbro for the rights to use real military resources in their films. It's a form of protectionism over the message, allowing the military to dictate how they're portrayed in pop culture.
The core of her is the Air Force.
In the 40s, there were fewer qualms over facing what appeared to be imminent existential threats to the world, which naturally led to a lot of similar overreach, but it allowed recruiters and trainers to skip a couple of steps.
The soldiers got a secret, but I bet we find it out.
In the same way that Donald Duck became a symbol for the ragged, daily chore side of the military, Private Snafu in particular was a character to identify with because he made rookie mistakes. The Snafu series was all about Negative Example, a what not to do guide for soldiers, especially for ones pre-baby boom who were in large proportion illiterate. In that way, if you combine it with what happened later regarding his beginner books such as Cat in the Hat, Ted was training the army-bound parents of the eventual baby boomers he would teach in preschool. The only difference is that since these were not released to the public, the unit was encouraged to embrace their vices in the name of attention grabbing.
And she stops. And always just in time.
It's more like if during the height of Ed, Edd n Eddy, restaurant training videos were made starring Lupo the Butcher.
God damn, I'm gonna die! Christ, fucking...
Actually, that's...
And Tex would literally be in the middle of the park telling people to get a fucking job at 2 years old and stuff.
Probably a bad example.
And I was kind of proud. It sort of, a little chill came over me when I heard stuff like that, even though my mom was a little upset about it.
These shorts were produced throughout the war, with a few extra shorts and spin-offs done by studios like Harmonizing and UPA, and they naturally tapered off within a year of victory. Being in close proximity to so much talent, lifelong friendships were maintained for decades since. Ted Geisel, who moved to La Jolla in San Diego to keep writing children's books, kept in touch with his fellow comrades. As his writing career grew, they would soon help him out when animation would become the only thing he trusted in Hollywood.
Say, who in the bloomin' blue blazes are you? Technical Fairy. First class.